Hi, everyone. My name is Roland Kim. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams in Vancouver. Today is July the 18th, 2024. I want to give you a market update. Some of the information hopefully is really relevant to you. Some of it might be generic, but most importantly is your real estate information. Your situation is personal and it's intimate to your situation, to your specifics. So reach out to me and I can always have a deeper conversation with what's relevant and how it impacts you. So without any further conversation, let's jump right into it. And please, again, do follow up with me afterwards should you have any questions. So this first graph is showing you the summary for many, many months over many years. But more specifically here, we can see that June of last month finished with 2,418 transactions, which represents a 19% decrease over the same month last year. When I'm looking at as of July 16th, so 2 days ago, there was 1,237 firm transactions in the Vancouver Real Estate Board, averages out to 77 a day. When I calculate that out over the month of July, I am estimating that we're going to see around 2,396 transactions in the Vancouver Real Estate Board. That currently reflects a 4% reduction versus transactional sales last year. Putting that same information that we had, well, this is provincially. So provincially, what I'm showing you now is a graph that's illustrating last month in June. Provincially, there was 7,082 transactions, and that also represents a 19% decrease year over year for the month of June. As you can see from this long-term graph, we're well below our 10-year average, and sales are certainly slower province-wide. What you see here is the active listings, so quite the opposite of the sales. The active listings are up quite substantially. We are up, in fact, for June, 41% province-wide. We are now province-wide at 41,475 transactions at the end of June. That's the highest level of active listings that we have seen since 2019. We are well established in a balanced market. Provincially, we can see here that we've been in the balanced territory now for quite some time. And it is yeah, it is a balanced market, and that territory does not appear to be changing anytime soon. Price-wise, provincially, the average price, if there is such a thing for the average property in the province, is just slightly under $1 million year over year. Comparing that for June of this year versus June of last year, we are slightly up, 1% higher. Last month, it was a little bit higher. We've come down from that. You can see that we are off the all-time highs, which was in April, May of 2022. And although we are in a very, modest market, prices are very stable. When I'm looking at kind of the four core markets for me personally, the Greater Vancouver area market, as I mentioned, is 2,418 transactions last June. The average, or this past month on June, the average price, if there is again such a thing as an average property, is $1,349,000. And that represents a 6.3% price increase for the Greater Vancouver market for June of 2024 versus June 2023. You can see the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board saw year-over-year price decrease, as did Chilliwack. Victoria's pretty flat, and Vancouver Island is a little bit higher overall. Those same boards, what we're looking at now is the active listings in the months of supply. So the Greater Vancouver area has a large number of listings, over 14,000 listings as of the end of June that are currently available. That represents a 42% increase year over year. And that is now 6 months of inventory supply versus the number of sales that happen. Looking at the different boards, again, every board has substantially more active listings available versus last year, and our months of supply are increasing. Our inflation did just come down. Yesterday it was announced it came down from 2.9% to 2.7%. And so that is a good sign for giving the Bank of Canada the ability to reduce the rates. We appear to be trending sideways and slightly lower for the inflation trajectory over the months ahead. Unemployment is quite the opposite. Unemployment rate is trending upwards, although provincially in BC it was down. The unemployment rate was down slightly this month. We are seeing a long-term trajectory of upwards. So much so that when I look at the unemployment rate forecast for the balance of this year into next year, we are seeing that it is projected that, our unemployment rate will go upwards of 6.6% over the months ahead. And I think this is a reflection of the economy that we're in. We're certainly feeling more and more like we're going into a recession of sorts. Interesting fact, lots of information here. Did you know that there are currently over 1 million foreign students in Canada? So how does this affect the real estate market? Well, I certainly think it's continuing to add a lot of pressure on the supply side. For most of my 15-year career, I feel like the levels of government have always been trying to control the demand side versus really addressing the supply side. And this does not help the supply. There's a lot of students in Canada that are also looking for housing. Interestingly enough, did you know that every 36 days, another 10,000 people are moving to British Columbia? That is certainly a lot more people than housing that we're creating. So it's, again, one of the core underpinnings of why the provincial and the Vancouver real estate market are so solid, because it is a story about supply scarcity, not a lack of demand. Even though that currently we feel like we're in a demand scarce market, it's a short-term, balanced slash buyer's market that will be changing. Mortgage rate forecast. This is from a month ago that, since then, the mortgage rate forecast is becoming more aggressive. I am talking to more and more people, reading more information that they're feeling 1 year from now in July of 2025, we should be at 4% or the high threes. We're going to see several more rate reductions here over the next 12 to 18 months. We are trending into a lower rate environment, and as inflation continues to be balanced, as unemployment goes up, and as the economy is stagnating, the Canadian government does need that real estate is healthy. And so to do that, we will be lowering interest rates probably more aggressively than most people were suspecting in the next 9 to 12 months. So in summary, prices are holding even though sales are down and listings are way up. It is impressive, actually, for the Greater Vancouver metro real estate market and how stable the prices are. To that effect, there are deals out there. Buyer deals are made, and they're not found by looking at the MLS prices. What I mean by that is buyers are finding, when they're not attached to a specific property but are interested in perhaps several, they are able to test different sellers and figure out which seller is actually looking to sell in today's market. Because there are many sellers out there amongst the 14,000 plus listings in the Greater Vancouver area who are sellers that believe in the long term, believe in a year from now we'll be back to a more listing oriented market, seller market, that they're not in a hurry to lower the price. So they may sell if they can get the right price, but they're not going to adjust downwards. And then equally, there are sellers who you can't tell the difference when you're on the buying side that need to sell, that want to sell. So to that effect, deals are made. If you're a buyer, go put pen to paper and figure out who is interested in negotiating with you. And in the next 3 to 6 months, to that effect, if you are a buyer, I believe it's one of the best buyers markets that we'll see in years. There are still many more people moving to and needing homes within our area, within our province, and our inventory available is not increasing any near, any close to the place it needs to be to change the market style. Inflation is at 2.6%. It is the lowest it has been in the past 3 years. Unemployment is trending up. That'll continue to be a story that we need to be watching. And we'll likely see here next Wednesday on the July meeting that we'll see another interest rate cut. Probably 25 to 50 basis points are expected, and that is coming up. A key reminder, when I talk to a lot of people, it's in real estate, there often people are surprised at the level of demand and stability in the Vancouver marketplace. And I sum it up sometimes by explaining the following quote, that in the 1970s, in the late 1970s, the Canadian government stopped building co-ops and stopped being involved in affordable housing. And at that time, though, if you were working an average job, you could save for 5 years and you'd have the down payment based on, the typical calculation of savings. That same calculation would require you over 30 years of savings in today's market, given today's real estate pricing. So even back then, the Canadian government in the 70s was involved in assisting with affordable housing for certain segments of the population. And at that time, Canada was building around 270,000 new units per year. And Canada only had a population of 20 million. So today, there's more than 40 million people, and we're actually building less. We're only building around 250,000 new units annually. Mind you, the federal government, when they rolled out their budget recently, they did project that they're going to somehow magically double that and increase the inventory dramatically. I don't see that happening. But that last quote, really take that to heart. And so we've been for decades now in a market where we are having much more migration, immigration, and growth in people moving to BC, Vancouver than we ever built. And so we are so far away from solving that. And that is why the underpinnings of the Vancouver real estate market are so stable, because we're a real scarcity story, not a demand story. We are currently in a balanced market with the lowest number of sales for my recent recollection. And as soon as rates start coming down another 75 to 125 basis points, which will be over the next, 9 to 15 months, the market's going to get hot and busy again. So right now, if you're a buyer, it's the time to buy. If you're upsizing, it's the time to buy. More so, how does this all affect you? I really believe that stats should not tell your story, but be the insight and the knowledge and give you points of navigation, helping you figure out and move forward throughout the path to your next real estate goal. Don't react to the market, use the market information to your best benefit. See if I can help you, reach out, and I'd love to have a conversation. Hope you're having a great day.